Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and it is Thursday this time, which means it's the coolest day of the week, or our favorite time of the week, because we've got the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves right here on the table in front of me. So let's check them out.
It's Tuesday.
No, it isn't. Hey everyone, welcome to round two, the second new items video this week, because there is just so much stuff to talk about this time of year. We're going to start off with a further expansion of the Chaves Blue Label line, bringing the Chaves designs to a more accessible price point than even the well shoot, now I can't remember the name of the standard mid-tech line of Chaves stuff.
Ultramar?
That's the one. Thank you, Thomas. So you've got the Chaves Customs, you've got the Riot-made Ultramar stuff. Now you have the Blue Label stuff, which is less expensive than the Riot stuff. But actually, these are also made by Riot. Well, there goes that logic. Basically, materials and construction are spec'd down a little bit from the full frame lock M390 Ultramar construction. But as you're about to find out, I actually kind of like these a little bit better. Let's start, however, with the CHUB, the Blue Label CHUB, the Chaves Handy Utility Blade. Now available at a $60 price point, and you can get them, they come with a black aluminum handle and either black or silver alternating colors here for the rest of the hardware. This is the silver one, of course. 60 bucks right here. For that, you got a sliding utility blade. It has a few different positions, ranging from just a little bit hanging out for more precise scoring cuts, a standard length using about half of the amount of the blade when it's installed, and a slightly longer length. Doesn't give you more blade to work with, but it gives you a little bit more reach, a little bit more handle to grab onto. You've also got the Chaves skull pocket clip on the back. Thomas, I didn't check. Did they have the alternate pocket clip in the package for this one?
Ought to have.
A non-scully clip should also be available there. If it's not, we'll put a thing up here that says it's not. Now you know. And now I'll know once I see this video later. So there you go. Let's check out. Blade changes on this are pretty easy. You just push back on this tab right here and take the blade out. You can swap it around to the other side real quick if you need to for the other side. So toolless changes done quite rapidly and easily on the fly, so you can always have a fresh edge no matter where you go. Now we have the TAC Blue Label, a liner lock flipper here, 140 bucks. You can get it with this Tonto profile or a drop point, which looks something like this right here, just a little bit smaller for this. And both of those are available with this satin finish or a black finish. 140 bucks, if I hadn't mentioned that yet. 2 3/4 inch L-Max steel blade, compound ground here on the Tonto, and canvas micarta for the handles. And this is a black color, even though it appears gray to you right here. It is a black specced material. Standard pocket clip on the back. Again, standard skull or the other skull style pocket clip should be available in the box as well, unless up here it says it's not. There you go. Relying on gimmicks today, I guess. Flipping action is very good on these ball bearings in the pivot, basically just providing really good easy action overall. Because it's a liner lock instead of a frame lock like some of the higher end versions, you can hold it kind of however you wish when flipping. You're not going to accidentally grip the frame lock itself in just the wrong way, making it more difficult to actuate. That is not the case here. Super easy, nice, small, utility-focused everyday carry folder right here. Carries a bit of that hard-working Chaves DNA, but slimmer, a little bit more slicey on the cutting geometry. Not the sliciest in the world, but definitely leans more that way than the more expensive versions, but still feels super, super solid. That continues with this one right here, which is the Redencion Street. 3.2 inch L-Max blade on these. Same suite of blade options. You can get it in the drop point or a Tonto, like this, just bigger. And each of those blade shapes in this black stonewash or a satin finish. Actually, it's a two-tone here. On this one, it's a satin and stonewash, depending on which portion of the blade you're looking at. Handle length here, just enough for a full grip for my slightly larger than average hands, as you can see right there, meaning this is a full feeling working knife. If you want a little bit more, the 229 Redencion 229 with a 3.5-inch blade, it's essentially the same design as this, just a little bit bigger, is also available. That starts at $180. This knife right here, I didn't mention yet, $165. So all of them sitting at really a really nice cross section of prices. It's a little bit slimmer than those more expensive Redencions, but still gives you that full feeling grip, gives you a slicier blade overall. For me, I kind of prefer this from the actual cutting experience and performance standpoint. LMAX is certainly good stuff. M390 might last a little bit longer on those fuller size Redencions, but I think you're gonna have a nicer time cutting with the thinner blade right here, and that'll kind of counteract that edge retention difference a little bit, I would say. Action here with the ball bearings and the pivot and the thumb studs, spot on. No complaints whatsoever. Now, if you do like those big, massive, overbuilt folders, have I got something for you. Halfbreed Blades has brought back their large bush knife, their large bush flipper, now in a non-flipper version. This is the large bush LINQ lock folder. $315 for this. What you get, apart from the LINQ lock, we'll get to that, a 4 1/8 inch long blade with CPM 3V steel, very thick. I mean, that's about, what are we dealing with? Micrometers. 3/16? Let me check
You're
out.
closer.
0.217, so not quite a full 1/4 inch. So it's pretty thick right there. You've got a fuller along there. You've got a hollow grind for the primary grind there, which means you've got a lot of full thickness spine here at the back for strength. 3V, of course, is a very tough steel, holds an edge pretty well. Not stainless, but the PVD coating here helps keep rust and moisture away from your daily experience. With that thickness, that hollow grind gives you a pretty thin cross section right behind the edge. If you're pushing through longer cuts through tougher material, the top of that grind and the thickness at the top will start to impact things, but at least right there at the edge, you've got a thin cross section. G10 for the handles here, a few different colors. This is the jade version, or spearmint as we are calling it today at least, with a frag grip pattern. Single-sided pocket clip. Kind of a shame actually that it's a single-sided pocket clip, because otherwise the lock and everything else is perfectly symmetrical on this knife. And you've got a protruding pommel here at the back coming to an apex for pounding and bashing, that sort of thing. Now here is the lock right there at the back. It may look a little bit like maybe a shark lock or a Sneck style super lock. It is neither of those things, but you do kind of pull it back in a similar way, but instead of it sliding back, you can see it actually kind of rotates right there. And you may see something moving in this little track right here. What that is an armature or spring connecting to a stop pin or a lock bar that is moving back and forth on the inside of the blade right here. It's going to be nigh impossible for Thomas to get a good shot of that, so you might have to just take me at my word there. But yeah, that little twist is moving the lock bar out of the tang, or rotating it out from the back of the tang right here. But yeah, the spring tension on it feels really strong. It's maybe a little bit difficult to get in there. You have to be pretty deliberate in it. If you're wearing thicker gloves, you might have to take them off to actually disengage the lock. But it's cool to see new locking mechanisms continuing to be worked on. Always like seeing that. Plenty of handle grip, as you can see, even if you are wearing a heavier pair of gloves and you've got that finger choil on the front to choke up and get a little more close up to the edge for more precise cuts. It feels like a tank. I bet you it'll perform like one as well. Don't take that literally. It's not gonna like fire shells miles away. It's a figure of speech. We'll keep the bigger folder train going here for a little bit. We've got a bunch of Spydercos to take a look at today. The blacked out version of the Bodacious has hit the site, $279 for these. And you've got the compression lock, Spyderco's venture to say their strongest locking mechanism. I don't know if that's empirically true, but it is an incredibly strong locking mechanism with the tab of steel that indents or interfaces with a matching tab in the blade itself. Blade in this case being 3.66 inches long, S30B steel with an almost full flat grind. A little bit thinner than the Shaman, which this knife is kind of considered to be an offshoot of the Shaman, which is Spyderco's like stereotypical hard use folder. A little bit slimmer on the blade for a little bit better slicing performance while still maintaining strength, and a little bit slimmer on the handles as well with flat G10 here for a slightly more compact or slightly flatter carry in the pocket. 2-position pocket clip rounding things out, plenty of handle length there. No choil like you would find, or no finger choil like you would find on the Shaman. Instead, the handle itself allows you to get just as close as that choil would allow you to do. If you don't know what I'm talking about by that choil, it's something like this, which is seen here on the Manix 2. Might as well talk about that. Several versions, or several new Spyderco variants featuring their proprietary Spy 27 blade steel, which is developed for them in collaboration with Crucible, the same folks who make S30V, MagnaCut, 4V, M4, M390, the list. 20 CV. Did I say M390? Yeah, sorry, 20 CV, which Bolen makes M390, which is the same formulation as 20 CV, so apologies for that. Crucible makes a lot of good stuff. Performance-wise, what you should expect from Spy 27 is something in a similar ballpark to like the S45, the S30, S35, S45 VN family. It's in that kind of general ballpark. Good toughness, good edge retention, but it's supposed to be able to be sharpened a bit easier than some of those steels, especially if you're using strops. Stropping, this is a steel that responds well to stropping, I should say. First of the Spy 27 variants to hit the site today is this Manix 2 XL, coming in at $205. You've got a 3.85 inch blade, Spy 27 as mentioned, full flat grind with a distal taper out towards the tip. It's getting narrower and narrower, so you've got more precision back there, more strength at the back. Cobalt blue G10 handles, that's kind of the signature color that goes along with this steel. And not actually much more grip than the standard Manix. This area between here and here is actually pretty much the same between these two models. It just extends a little further out the back to make room for a longer blade. So ergonomically, not too much different. If you're familiar with the standard Manix, you kind of know what to expect, I think, from this grip right here. You've got that choil at the front, as talked about just a second ago, so you can choke up for finer work. You've got Spyderco's ball bearing lock, which is a ceramic ball being pushed forward with a spring into the tang of that knife. You kind of operate it similarly to any other kind of crossbar lock on the marketplace. Gives you that finger-safe closing action, as we saw right there. Your fingers never get in the way of the path of the blade, and just a nice ambidextrous system too, backed up by the fact that the clip itself is reversible. Really cool, heavier use knife with an emphasis on slicing. Less about brute force, more on a balance of size with cutting efficiency. That's kind of the same case, maybe even more so on the cutting efficiency side with the native Chief lightweight in Spy 27, cobalt blue FRN in this case. So injection molded rather than your fiberglass-like G10 material. That gives you the benefit of their bidirectional texturing that they mold into here, giving you tons of retention, both in forward and rearward motions or forces acted upon. Why not? We'll go with that. And that also brings the price down a little bit from a similar version that would otherwise contain the G10. We're talking about $172 for this. All these Spy 27 knives we're looking at today, I should mention, are made in Golden, Colorado, right here in the US, as it says right there. Blade length on this guy is just over 4 inches, some of that taken up, of course, by the finger choil. Full flat grind, distal taper, similar characteristics to the Manix 2 XL we just talked about. The weight on this for such a large knife is really spectacular. Just 3.1 ounces. I mean, this weighs as little as some folders half this size, and still gives you quite a lot of capability. And this is a knife that is, again, great for righties or lefties. You've got a 4-position pocket clip. You can carry it tip up or tip down. on the left or right side. You've got a mid-mounted lock back for security. And then despite the size, very narrow in the pocket considering. Not the narrowest, but pretty narrow for that kind of reach. So between that small footprint and the lightweight, you can do a lot worse if you're looking to carry a lot of knife without, weighing yourself down. So that Native Chief is the largest in the Native family. The Native 5 is kind of the archetype or the progenitor of the Native family, or at least the standard Native, the 5 indicating this is the 5th generation of the Native. Here's what I mean by price. So what I say about, let's see, the Manix 2XL was about $205. I was actually really kind of surprised by this, actually. The Native 5 right here is $202 and some change. That's only like $3 difference. You can get this much more blade. But the Native 5 lightweight was like 170 something. What did I just say? 172 and some change. So, I mean, you can really see the difference there in the handle material selection, what it does to the price. Blade on the Native 5 is just under 3 inches. You've got a full flat grind, distal taper, a little bit of a swedge on this one, which you don't see on those other 2 knives we just talked about. Cobalt Blue G10, standard grip here is kind of a 3.5 to almost really more of a 3-finger grip. This is one where if I want a full grip, I'm definitely going to be using that finger choil area, and that truly does become a very full gripped handle right there. Very nice indeed. The Native 5 has long been a knife, especially for folks who want an American-made knife, that I find really easy to recommend. It's not like the newest or flashiest, but it is proven reliable. Everything about the construction of this is kind of time-tested. You've got the mid-mounted lockback. You've got a 4-position pocket clip. You've got the ability for lefties or righties to use it in either way. You've got a blade length that you can take just about anywhere. Caveat being, of course, we're not lawyers. Always know your local knife regulations. And it's got a compact enough profile to back up that take it anywhere type of vibe, but a strong enough construction to feel like you're not like sacrificing anything by going with this kind of size. It feels quite strong. It feels capable of serious work, not just small or medium-sized cuts. This thing can really go the distance. Speaking of local knife regulations, we have the UK penknife, a knife specifically designed to comply with knife regulations in the United Kingdom. You've got a sub 3-inch blade, one hand opening but non-locking, that being the key thing. That length and that non-locking characteristic being the things that make it work in that environment. But it's also just a handy blade as well. Spy 27, full flat grind, distal taper. You get tired of me saying this every once in a while. Slip joint mechanism there at the back. And $97.50 for this one right here. So if you're looking to try out Spy 27 steel, definitely the least expensive way, at least from what's on the table today, to check it out. I think it might be the least expensive Spy 27 knife we sell. Let me just check real quick, because that would be the way to do it if you're curious about testing out the steel. Let's see. Yeah, it indeed is. Another weird thing, the injection molded version of this is 105, whereas this is 97 and some change. Weird. You can also get a Native 5 lightweight for like 157 if you want to go with that way. Or a pair of 3 lightweight for 160 with Spy 27 steel. Anyway. The thing I like about the UK penknife and a lot of Spyderco's slip joints in general is even though it's non-locking and you might worry about you might not have as much safety as you would, or enough kind of peace of mind as you would a knife with a lock, because you're likely going to be holding it with the finger choil area right here. If the blade were to come, overcome its backward retention, your finger is going to be in the way to stop it from closing much further. So that is your passive safety measure, or I guess that's more of an active safety measure right there. I'm not sure. Semantics. Wire pocket clip on the outside keeps things looking classy and unobtrusive overall. There you go, check it out. One more Spyderco and not a Spy 27 knife to close things out. For those of you waiting for the Salt version, the MagnaCut bladed version of the Para 3 lightweight, it is now on the shelf ready to ship. 168 and some change for this. You got a sub 3-inch MagnaCut blade, and where MagnaCut differs from something like the Spy 27, you should have, in addition to very good Edge retention, maybe a little bit higher than the Spy 27. Not dramatically higher, but probably a little bit better. You've also got high stainlessness, but you've got definitely or definitively more toughness than you would with the Spy 27. So it does a lot of things very, very well on a knife that weighs very, very little. 2.4 ounces for this particular knife with the injection molded yellow handle. And being part of Spyderco's Salt series, the blade itself needs to be as impervious to rust as possible, and the internals and handle of the knife must also back up that mission. So if you're looking for something to be as stainless as possible, if you work around the water a lot, especially saltwater environments, this is definitely going to be a good option for you. 3.5 finger grip in the standard hold right here, but with the finger choil area right there. Like the Native 5, it gives you a really full-sized experience. We've got a straight back to the blade instead of the typical arced drop point, and as you can see, it's a little bit thicker for a little more durability here, but you still have that distal taper out towards the tip. And with the compression lock, you've also got that finger-safe closing action and the ability to flick it open if you don't want to use the thumb holes right there. I almost said thumb studs. Classic knife, now available in MagnaCut. Next up, we've got a couple more Fox knives. We looked at some Fox knives last week. They've hit us with a lot of cool new stuff right now. The first here that we're looking at today is the 02.0 from Jens Anso, or designed by Jens Anso for Fox. They're calling this the 02.0 Desert Warrior, actually. I'm not sure what makes it Desert Warrior, because it's all black, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Desert at night.
Desert at night. $66 and some change for this. You've got a 2 3/4 inch blade, kind of this leaf shape, almost nest mucky, but not quite. B-cut steel here. So good basic stuff, not gonna set the world afire, but certainly quite reliable. It's kind of following similar playbooks to some Spyderco things, except you don't have the finger choil there, obviously. But you've got a full flat grind, you've got a distal taper in this case as well. You've got a mid-mounted lockback and a reversible pocket clip. Very nearly complete deep carry on that pocket clip as well. Injection molded handles with some nice texturing there, giving it some both visual character and some extra grip without being so much that it's gonna rip things up like your skin or your pockets. Not worried about that at all. And the grip here, it's just the tiniest bit small for my slightly larger than average hands, but not prohibitively so. But you can get your 3 fingers in here and the 4th finger on the pinky area at the back, and it's gonna actually feels really secure in that grip. Spins really nicely, so rotating the tip is good. Feels like you can really push this in a very confident manner with that type of grip as well. And then of course it's gonna be very nimble for other grips as well. Action, we're dealing with washers in the pivot here, not ball bearings, and you're dealing with, of course, a standard lockback here. So it's not a flicky, fun type of thing. It is more deliberate and more grown-up feeling sometimes, more stable perhaps. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's a really cool shape and the price ain't half bad either. Next, we've got a new model with their radius button lock. This is the Jupiter, or the TICF Jupiter perhaps? That's just the Ti carbon fiber. That's what the TICF is. A couple different versions of this right now. This is the TICF version, 627 and some change. The other version right now features titanium handles with a topographic milled pattern. That's about 585 right now. What you got is a blade a little bit over 3 inches long, M390 steel. This one has a nice stone washed finish, as you can see. Titanium handles with jungle wear fat carbon inlays, 2 on the front and 1 there on the back. You don't have the second one because they're just gonna have the pocket clip over that anyway. And then you've got the radius lock. You push down here as though it were a button lock and then rotate it around the pivot to open or close the knife. This is also, I think, the first of this lock type I've seen with a secondary safety. So that's going to keep it from accidentally opening. It's also going to be able to work in that open position as well. So that is really stabilizing this. No chance of accidentally pushing that button and starting to rotate it while you're actually working. Peace of mind can always be a very nice thing. As far as usage of this, big heavy utility work is certainly going to be a capability thanks to that blade profile and the angles of the handle right here. It's one of those designs, talked about this a little bit last week, that gives you space for your knuckles, or gives your knuckles space to get real close to what you're working on, even if you're dragging that tip or even just pushing down with the standard bellied section of the blade. That angle gives you the space you need to get close to the job and really apply pressure without wrapping your knuckles. Good, comfortable consideration for actual work. Even though this is definitely a showpiece type of knife, it helps that it could pull off those jobs, not just a pretty face. Next up, these are actually really good value, I think, from Fox. New versions of their Vulpis slip joints. And there's two tiers of this basically. You can get them with an aluminum handle, an N690 blade. A few different colors of the aluminum can be had. Those are about $42 and some change, or you can go with this version right here, which features a titanium handle and an M390 blade, just over $61 right now. So good deal on a powerful steel with good edge retention like M390. Just over 2 inches long, full flat ground with a stone washed finish in this case. It is a slip joint, it's non-locking, but it does come with a pocket clip. It's not reversible, but it is tip up or tip down. So you can carry it either way like that, or you could take the clip off and have a really slim carry if you prefer. Action feels really nice actually. It's interesting to describe. It's not quite like a lot of traditional slip joints with backspring pressure. It kind of bridges the gap in feel anyway between that and like a detent joint style of non-locking knife. You got a nice half stop right there, and between the half stop and the open and closed positions, the pressure is not great. Like you don't, or not to say it's not good, like you don't need a ton of pressure to push between those positions. Really interesting. Compare that to something like this, which we're gonna get to shortly, and there's definitely more felt pressure in those in-between stages. Not that that's a bad thing. This is just the first I felt that doesn't quite do that in the same way. Very interesting. Anyway, $61.59 to be exact for this model right now. Prices, of course, are always subject to change in the future, but that's where it sits right now. Let's keep it on slip joints for a minute. New case covers are available. This is copper Kirinite. Very cool material. It's like poured acrylic, basically. It's a good actual user material too. It doesn't just look pretty. It's something that, similar to micarta, but the hows of why it does this is probably different. But when things are sweaty or it gets a little wet, it gives you a little bit more grip than when it's dry. Rather interesting. $67 for this trapper featuring this handle material right now, which means you've got two blades, a long spay, not a reverse tanto, Thomas.
That's great.
And a long clip blade available. Other models available now, we've got the small Stockman at $64, the small Texas toothpick at about $56, the Razor, their vault pattern knife for this year, at $73, medium Stockman at $70, and the Rust Lock at about $85. It's hard to go wrong with a standard full-size trapper though, in my opinion. One of my favorite slip joint patterns. Stockman's probably my favorite though, just generally speaking. Although I like a moose too. Anyway. The James brand has some new colors out on their Elko, their Ellis, and their Palmer. I actually don't have a Palmer here in front of me, but that's another nice replaceable utility blade knife. Their Elko is a small slip joint folder. The color here is emerald aluminum. Has a bit more blue in it than what I typically think of as emerald, but whatever you want to call it, it is a nice color. Sandvik 12C27 for the blade. Blade itself, 1 3/4 inch. Very unobtrusive, very non-threatening. Just a small utility blade for everyday carry stuff. Opening boxes and packages, letters, that sort of thing. And then on the back, technically it's not a multi-tool because it doesn't have a bottle opener, but you do have a pry / screwdriving tip here at the back. It's not going to be like your primary flathead screwdriver, but you can get some stuff done with it, and you can actually do a little bit of widgety prying, that sort of thing with it as well. If you want a little more capability, the Ellis could be the way to go. This is about $119 right now. In addition to a 2.6 inch 12C27 blade, drop point with a mid-height flat grind there. You've also got a pair of scissors. Oops, let me open it the correct way. Sorry about that. Nice pair of scissors right there. Definitely a handy thing as well. And then you've got that pry tip there at the back, and you have a pocket clip on this knife as well. So a little bit easier to carry, and then still maintains the convenience of the clip point. Still has that cool new color as well, which I'm liking quite a bit.
Pretty sure we showed the copper Kirinite.
Did we show the copper Kirinite already? Well, I apologize. If we have indeed shown the copper Kirinite already, you get to see it again.
Show it again next week too.
Which one should we show next week? Put it in the comments. Last but not least from the James brand, we have got their new twist pen. This is the Bolen. This is the James brand, the Bolen. Put a lot of those. Them and Olight, like they like James brand. The James brand likes their thes. Olight likes their O's.
Oh, the O, the O, the O.
Oh, the O, the O, Theo. Anyway, I don't know what we're talking about here. We're getting a little.
Collaborate and call it the Theo.
We're just getting a little loopy. Sorry, viewers. 5.3 inch titanium pen. Very slim construction. So again, something that's going to be very unobtrusive. You've got a little bit of a contrasting color ring at the top, and then twist style opening right there. It comes with a Parker style cartridge, so any of that Parker style stuff will be able to be used if you want to switch it out. Let's find out what the exact refill is that's in it, shall we? It's a branded James brand cartridge. It's black ink. I imagine it's probably a medium point, but being that it's a standard refill type, whatever you like that fits that refill could be used in this nice little pen. Last but not least, we have a Mechforce. This is a collab with Rick Lala. This is the Caipira, coming in at $350 right now. And this is kind of an odd duck in that I didn't quite know what to make of it at first, and it's actually kind of surprised me in a good way. You've got kind of traditional inspired shape going on here, but obviously fully modern in construction and styling. Blade is 3¼ inch long. You've got M390 steel with this modified sheep's foot blade. I wouldn't even necessarily go so far as to say modified. But yeah, you got this spine thing going on here, but the edge and the tip itself, straight up sheep's foot. Actually, should we get into the weeds for just a moment?
We're about to.
Get a little technical here. I believe, remembering my classic slip joint taxonomy correctly, when the spine is not parallel to, so when the spine's parallel to the edge, that's sheep's foot. But when it's going up like this, I believe that's a ram's foot. Slip joint bros, come at me in the comments if I'm wrong.
Makes sense, bigger sheep.
Yeah, just like when it's tapering down towards the tip a little bit, you have the lamb's foot.
That's a reverse tanto.
Why I oughta. Anyway, back to this particular knife. You've got a hollow grind on this M390 blade, two-tone finish, satin on the flats and stone washed on the hollow grind itself. This version features ivory G10, but we've also got at the same price, you can get jade G10 for a significant upcharge, $598. You can get milled moku tie for the handles. That is impressive, actually. And never cheap to begin with, so there you go. Obviously, fully modern feel to it, despite the classic swayback style handle shape. You've got aggressive grooves here on the back spacer. You've got a very distinctive pocket clip, pretty deep carry as well. And you've got a pretty thick liner lock for security. You've also got front flipping or top flipping, works quite well for me. You can open it with two hands, of course, with the little blade cutout right there. You can also pinky flick, thanks to that. You can actually use pretty much any one of your other fingers. You can even get your middle finger down that far to do the flick. And if you listen closely as I'm doing that, see if you can actually hear it. I'll tell you what's going on in just a second. There's kind of two clicks going on, and that's because this is a liner locking flipper with a half stop. There's like an extra little detent position as it closes. So that's pretty cool. Another nod to kind of like the classic, heritage that this knife is taking and running with, on something you don't see too often. And that, once I saw that, I thought it was fine and cool to begin with, but once I noticed that, I'm like, I like it even more. It's pretty neat. Yeah. The other nice thing about a half stop on a classic slip joint that actually comes into play here too is it does stop right there. So it gives you a little bit more time, a little bit more of a, a pause, a break in the proceedings to get your finger out of the way of that sharpened edge as it closes. So there you go. Check it out. The Caipira. And I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. Anyway, let me know in the comments if I'm not. Maybe I'll look it up after this and figure out where I went wrong. Maybe we should do that before we film next time.
Nah.
Let me know what you thought of the knives today down in the comments, if you please. And to get your hands on any of these, check out the links in the description, which will take you to KnifeCenter.com, where in addition to our new Sezzle payment options, which lets you split things up into 4 payments if you wish, don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because at least you can earn some free money to spend on your future knife when you're spending money this time of year anyway. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, and we are signing off. See you next time.